So, Deputy Speaker, me like Pastor Luther, thank you, Lord. You got patience. And secondly, me Hamamas long or leaders, you may sit on the house now. You may join in debating a proposed law. If this Parliament gives the number, this law will come into the motion is set for the second and third votes to take place in 2 months' time. Mr. Speaker, this law, something law you may correct. Me like giving barely seal on all opposition. Contrary to points of racism also maybe of broken democracy, me like talk correct questions in there. Mr. Speaker, Constitution this law provision law 145, it has stood the test of time up till today. The last time an amendment was done, the Supreme Court, and this amendment was done in February 2013. Supreme Court, they turned down this amendment. That amendment was done by the previous government, and we extended a vote of no confidence period from 18 months going up to 30 months. In 2018, and the Nama case, and we ruled this law unconstitutional, they come back to 18 months. Mr. Speaker, before this law, 18 months grace period, from 1991, my notes here tells me on the 18th of July 1991, there was a constitutional amendment in the same provision. And moving from 6 months, come law 18 months. So, Mr. Speaker, Section 145 is a heavily visited provision of law in our country. Deep in the heart of this conversation is governance, ascension to office, stability, and everything else that goes around this one. Mr. Deputy Speaker, me like giving barely law. These members, all members of Parliament, the House, you. Time this law, people are proposing, law give him 18-month grace period again. Amino proposed law rouse him 18 months grace period, no that. 18-month grace period, I'm stop at the Mr. Nable, all members of Caucus, long, me like to thank you long. Or leaders blog of the party. People sit on the government caucus, we debate this. People stop the cabinet, we debate this. SCVM come through because one man like preserving status quo. No, that. There was continuous process of scrutiny of this proposal. And I stand here on record, I said I will never in the life of me remove Section 145, especially the earlier provisions, Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, Section 4, and we talk long, Laram VONC, he come up. Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, what of no confidence have stopped? Talked of long leaders of the House, especially all brothers of opposition, and be through. It is a safety valve that our fathers of our Constitution saw the need and they planted, and this amendment does not, or this insertion of Section 5 does not remove the Section 145 provision to remove a Prime Minister. Far from it, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, you like come sensitive government, having a trivial matter. Having a trivial matter. Serious matter. Especially government who said it gives him Section 63 invitation through the electoral process. How do you nullify the electoral process? The people's mandate here in the House wants to nullify the electoral process, then the leaders would have moved to one side. And the government would be changed. I bring to you recent change of government in 2019. When the supermajority of leaders moved, there was nothing someone can do about stopping that movement of body of leaders to change government. So no one stops the change of government. In fact, after 18 months and for 2.5 years, that right is preserved. Our standing order says it is not a parochial matter. It is a serious matter. You're trying to diffuse a Section 63 invitation to form government. Collective numbers come, you mobilize, you can change the government anytime within that period from the lapse of 18 months grace period to 12 months before the writs are issued for the next election. That preservation of right for VONC remains. This one stops busybodies, and lawyers know what busybodies are. I don't need to educate them on what busybodies are. We got enough lawyers in this House to know what busybodies are. You run in and out without the standing of mandate on your side. This House debates this, and for instance, this law, the democratic process will run its course. If the number prevails, this law gets passed. If the number doesn't prevail, this law is either withdrawn or removed from the process. And so I want to give assurance to members of both sides of the House. In fact, my members from the opposite. Emino Rausim right long vote of no confidence nogat. I'm serious matter. You like Rausim government where me kissing mandate after the elections. You stake him up argument good and your argument. But winning bad blow, not blow brother member. You know kind argument awesome, you know what sawe no meet also get sawe. This play, you know kind argument no winning bad blow member. You know kind argument thing awesome, you ta sol saw or something, no no what sawe. Okay. You must stop passing houseman or place. Let us see them blow, barely see, Mari, cut him talk to good. Let us see but continue on yet. Me remind him in the house. Play politics with maturity. This country has been held to ransom by those who want to be prime ministers and those who want to be ministers. Few of you were ministers in my cabinet on the other side. I'm gentleman enough not to expose your performance or otherwise. Prime Minister is just the number one minister amongst a cabinet of ministers. Responsibilities are delegated, transferred, work is shared. Today I may have the skill to manage numbers and hold politics and do work, and that is fine. I will do it until 2027. Just like Marape passed a law in 2001, God bless his soul. We all say he's a good leader, he is a good leader. Passed the organic law on political parties and candidates that gave 9 years of undisturbed rule to the Somali government, that created the biggest cascade of waterfall in as far as foreign investment is concerned for our economy. Marape did not enjoy the benefit of the law that he passed, but he passed it so that the next government benefits the law. I was here in this house when former Governor of Western Highlands, former Prime Minister Pius Winti, stood there, right there and said, I was busy managing numbers in the 80s, not managing politics. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I give you some statistics. 1975, we became independent. 1977, first general election. 1980, first VONC. 1982, Somali comes back in. 1985, second successful VONC. 1987, third general election. 1988, second successful VONC. Third successful, I beg your pardon. 1992, fourth general election. 1995, resignation because of afraid that he may be overthrown. The good leader from Western Highlands. Later, court found that his election was improper, and another government came in, government of Sir Julius Chain. 1997, we went to the good late Bill Skate came in. 1999, he went out, Marape came in. In the first 27 years, foundational 27 years of a nation's life, we were busy playing politics, just like we are playing today, with no element of consciousness to the need to progress our country. Statistics shows, Mr. Deputy Speaker, very clearly, the economy in 1975 was a 5 billion kina economy. The economy in 2002 was a 17 billion kina economy. Central Bank statistics. For the 27 years, we had grown our economy by only 12 billion kina because there was high rotation in Wageni. I give you another example. In 1979, the first conversation on 2% royalty for Panguna mine came into government. Somali government may have received it. The Chain government came in 1980. The Somali government came back in 1982. The Winti government came in 85. No one was seriously progressing the Bougainville conversation on their right for environmental compensation and a little bit of royalty in respect to the resource they own. In 1988, 14 years after independence, whilst we were heavily engrossed in politics, talking smart like Southernmans here, first power pylon fell in Panguna, and today we live with the legacy of the crisis because Waigani was busy in politics and not addressing core issues. Yes. This is not a defense of my tendency. I may resign in 2027. You never know. You don't know what's happening in me. But I'm constructing something to give certainty for those of you who aspire to be prime ministers. Go to the elections. Get the Section 16 invitation. Come and run government. 18 months later, if you don't perform, you're removed. You're performing and members trust you, you remain in government. Do the work, continue on. Well, I have been managing politics at the same time running this country since 2020. PNC-led government should not speak on this matter because you introduced a 30 months grace period in 2013. All in the interest for good measures. Because I was part of the government, busy managing politics. Busy managing politics at the same time. The only safe period we had was Somali government 2002 to 2011. The economy grew the biggest, from 17 billion kina to a 46 billion kina. Guess what? No rocket science. Of course, they started the export-driven strategy, the SABL for forestry, but a core one was ExxonMobil into PNG at the back of political stability. They had the stability. They ran with no element of threat from 2002 to 2007. They came in 2007 to 2011. Unfortunately, and if you want to talk about changing government, you have to look into the books of those who played in 2011. They played because majority number shifted on this house. And that's why Governor Wenger says majority matters. And so I want to give assurance to members of this House. This does not remove VONC from our country's law. I will be a defender of Section 145 in the VONC process. But if you come to the table suggesting to introduce a VONC, you must not be a busybody. You must have full transfer of numbers on your side. So investors know, country know, everyone knows. You don't go into the deep blue sea trying to fish for fish. I was saying a little bit earlier, you go to a deep blue sea with I'm not a fisherman, but my brother obviously leader, you go longer, you go to reef, you must carry a big net, or spear go inside. You go to deep sea, kiss him tuna, you carry me equipment, tuna go inside, you kiss him tuna. Pull him good, now come inside. Sense him government, I'm serious something. Provision of sensitive government is stopped, so you know that number. Eat your humble pie and let him government continue for 1 by 18 months. So there's some progress, some sanity. Not you come every now and then. And to those who feel that this will entrench dictatorship, far from it. Our constitution allows a government to set at the 5th anniversary of invitation to form government. Government naturally dies. Government sets. We'll go to the elections. Everyone was saying PNC was bad, PNC was bad, PNC was bad, but they won elections in 2017. At the backdrop of going to the elections. And so election process remains as the natural neutralizer of all aspirations. But give mandate. If the leaders feel they want mandate through the election, for instance, Pangu Party won 39. How do you deduce that mandate? The 39 members who won in the elections. And when you stand up on the other side with only one voice, you disqualify the mandate that 39 people stood behind and rallied behind a party. But of course, if the party has collapsed, the VONC process is still there for the migration of members to the other side. And you mount it proper. I give you a little bit of school if you need further school in the standing orders. Don't come to this parliament failing deliberately 5 attempts on VONC with wrong signatures. Wrong signatures, wrong name, wrong numbering. And I know you're not stupid. You deliberately failed this.
Prime Minister, we have a point of order. Member for about.
I think Prime Minister is defending the system that made errors in our view. BBC So he really should not talk about those things.
Will be fine, opinion.
Let it stay where it is rather than defend his argument on the wrong page.
Honorable Prime Minister,
Mr. Speaker, the questioning on PBC's integrity is a question on your chairman. The Speaker and yourself chairs PBC, but PBC is a constitute of members of PBC. The present PBC has a senior member of this Parliament, Governor of Gulf in the PBC. The process of submitting a VONC is absolutely clear. Every one of you know that process. Don't come to PBC with broken down submissions that will be refused by PBC. It's a serious matter. Do it properly. Mr. Speaker, the processes are clear in our constitution. If the government has decayed to a stage where all members of Parliament feel that government needs to be changed, you don't need that Section 145 to hold it back. Number would have shifted clearly, brought by the daylight, and government will change. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by saying Section 145, in terms of VONC, is preserved. The alternate, this number on this side, if this side was thinking dubious, we would come to this House asking to remove completely 145. We have more number here than ever in our nation's history. Combined government, thanks to the members who give security to this government's rank, numbers over 90. We can come to this House if we want to use government strength and to remove completely Section 145. Number dictates, but we are more responsible than this. Section 145 remains. We preserve Section 145 in VONC, but if you come with no number as a busybody, then government gets 18 months again, Mr. Speaker. That's the alternate we put into this House. Thank you.